These
I
were
don't know where is that gonna, where
these
are we
were
going,
faux
Dave?
questions. So, Amanda Vandervort, a collegiate player at University of Wyoming, spent some time at NYU as a coach, had an incredible impact at MLS.
Thanks.
President of the former NSCAA.
Correct. Now United Soccer
Now
Coaches.
United Soccer Coaches.
Yep.
A little dabble with FIFA.
Yep.
And then there was yesterday.
And I was in Europe as the head of the Global Players Union, FIFPro for women.
That. Then there was yesterday.
Yep.
So what does that mean for women's sport, for women's soccer, and what does it mean for you?
So yesterday was an incredible day for us, receiving our Division I sanctioning from US Soccer for the USL Super League. For me personally, I mean, I think this vision, this journey that I've been on throughout my life across all these different, parts of US soccer, parts of the landscape in America and around the world, to kind of bring that all together and have the opportunity to deliver now through the USL, through professional women's soccer at the USL is, it's an honor. I'm humbled personally and excited about the opportunity, but I think we won't even know the impact that this has on future generations as this evolves, right? For me, looking up as a little kid and not having the opportunity to play professionally, and now you have 2 professional women's teams in more cities than or professional women's leagues in more cities than we've ever had before. The opportunities are now, becoming endless, really, for these girls to look up and say, I can be a pro, but then also for elite level talent to compete at the highest level, where they choose to continue their careers. Not just playing, but working in the sport as well.
So you're in an elevator for 30 seconds. What's the synopsis of the Super League?
Yeah, we are dedicated to bringing more women's soccer to more communities across the United States, really bringing professional women's soccer closer to home for more people who want to work, watch, and play the women's game.
Love it. All right, Court. You've been at USL now for a number of years, Chief Commercial Officer. You guys have an impact on so many different levels of the sport. Can you talk a little bit about that? The footprint, the levels, and maybe a couple key areas of focus for you guys?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Whoa, back it up a little bit. So thank you all for sticking around. Let me start there. Being the last panel here, as Dave said, it's a pleasure to work at USL. And as we enter our 15th season on the men's side, I think what we've really evolved from is an organization that was, like many soccer organizations, trying to find our way, trying to survive, to one that wakes up and thinks about how do we impact the most communities that we can, right? And so it works out great because I am from Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? Amanda's from Tucson, Arizona. Yeah. Everything in this country, as it relates to soccer, the commercial viability of soccer, it doesn't have to center around New York, Chicago, and LA. It should be accessible, it should be local. And so when we have 43 states that have a USL men's or women's team, we know that we're covering the map with pro and what we call pre-professional soccer at the highest level that it can be. And so now we're really entering an interesting period where those clubs are becoming more meaningful and more connected to their community. And so that's going to be very interesting with this whole backdrop we have the next 3 years with, Copa this summer, Club World Cup, Men's World Cup, and hopefully a Women's World Cup, to really throw that fuel on the fire for those pre-pro and professional teams that we have, both men and women.
So I think most people know I've been in the soccer space most of my career, but I did take a detour. I did my time in baseball. I spent 5 years at minor league baseball. And one of the things we used to always talk about was MILB was the heartbeat of that community. And I think it's very relevant to USL and Super League. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Go
ahead.
For a league that hasn't started yet, but.
Well, the USL as a whole, I think Court really nailed it when we talk about the community and the impact, because we are youth to pro, right, across the entire landscape. So the impact, the heartbeat is a really interesting way to put it. And when I think about what I said earlier about bringing soccer home, right? That's where your heart is, home is where the heart is. And I think that the USL really embodies that. We are led by a group of executives who have experience in soccer. A lot of them are soccer people. We think a lot about the impact that our decisions make on people on the ground, whether they're players or coaches or referees, administrators, et cetera, and want to build collaborative relationships across the ecosystem with all of the other member organizations of US Soccer and the community members in those cities. So I love the way you put that. I'm just reflecting on how meaningful that is to me to be able to deliver that impact through what we're building at the USL and really drive home that idea that your professional soccer team in your hometown is the community, the glue that binds that community together. It gives fans a place to come and cheer and feel the same thing that their brethren and sisters in that community feel and cheer on their team and for the players as well who want to play close to home.
Love that. How many people, show of hands, have been to a USL match?
Hey.
All right, that's almost 100%, which is
Yeah.
incredible. It was interesting listening to some of the other panels, and they talked about seeing people that look like them, that they could look up to. This generation now that we have, they don't know soccer without MLS. They don't know soccer without NWSL. They don't know soccer without USL. That's a really powerful dynamic. And now we've got a footprint across this country where almost every single night there's an opportunity to watch soccer. And you heard Twyla talk about the importance of our youth watching the game. You guys just had a recent announcement around media, and a little fun fact for this group, there's more soccer content consumed in the US than any other country around the world. Let that sink in. That speaks to the demand and what the sport means in this country. Can you talk a little bit about the CBS deal and what that means for USL?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this has been an incredible sprint that we've had at USL the last 5-6 years. And if we think about the appetite for soccer, it starts in this room, right? It's all the work that you guys are doing in your states and your communities and driving the potential fan for us. So number one, thank you. Because without that, we couldn't have the conversation with CBS that we had. And from our very first discussion, Dave, over a year ago, their focus was very clear. We want to make sure that we are capturing the US soccer fan, and they understand that CBS is a supporter of that. And so they looked at the map, they looked at the 43 states, the professional clubs we have, and they said, this is a way to do that. And so I think this is probably a moment of reflection for everyone in this room. But think about this. We don't use second division often because we just try to be the best that we can be, but we will now have professional soccer in this country, in our hometowns and communities, on national broadcast TV. With another partner that we will announce in the next week or two, we'll have 35 nationally televised games across CBS and another network I won't name just yet, but let's just say we've been with them for a while. 35 is great. 5 years ago, we had 6 games on ESPN News. And I don't think anyone at ESPN knew it was happening. And now we have major networks, major corporate partners saying, hey, this soccer nation is here. It's not the thing of the future. So thank you guys in this room for making it happen. I can't say that enough.
Yeah, it's an incredible development. And I think all of us should be really excited when you start to see the likes of a CBS, a Warner Brothers Discovery, a Telemundo, and Apple start to invest what they're investing to showcase the game. That's really, really powerful. So let's switch tune a little bit and talk a little bit about player development. Seems to be a hot topic. In addition to the word ecosystem, which I thought was kind of funny that got called up, people are talking about player development as they should. I mean, it's really important for the growth of the game. You guys obviously have a lot of points of interest. I've got to imagine it's got to be high on your radar down the road in terms of trying to create that pipeline. Can you guys talk a little about it, maybe from your different perspectives?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say down the road. It's part of the
Love
initial
it.
Conversations as it relates to the USL Super League. I mean, it's one of the things we talk to our owners about from day one is that development pipeline and developing an academy system that's connected to your senior team. So we've had those conversations on the Super League because we understand and know that we have to put players in these training environments and in competitive environments to, give them the opportunity to really be elite players and have the opportunity, and really advance their play. So our academy on the girls' side, we launched last year, and it's been growing over the past several months as we lead in to this coming summer, and it gives those players a platform where they can either see that they can become a professional player, right, but also compete day in and day out with them on the development. So from the academy to also the W League, which is our summer pre-professional, but all the players are amateur. We have actually 85% of our players in the W League are collegiate players. And in the summer, we're really focusing on giving them that elite environment where they can continue to play at the highest level possible and then return back to their college game. Actually, we've had over 60 players go from the W League to play pro immediately after their W League time too. Most of them have actually gone abroad. So now we're looking forward to having the Super League in the United States so we can retain a lot of that top talent that we've developed through the academy, through the W League, and into the pros. Now they have a place to play here in the United States. But that I will say, our ownership groups are incredibly focused on the player experience, top to bottom, because we know that it's not only developing that player on the field and the X's and O's, but it's creating the space for them off the field too, so that they can learn to be in a professional environment. What's it like to be in front of the media? What's your nutrition? What's your mental health? All those parts of being a professional player are part of how the USL thinks and operates for players from the ground up.
Yeah, I would add, look, from the business side of it, as Amanda mentioned, our CEO, Alec Papadakis, and Paul McDonough, our president, they are player-first people, right? They were players, they were GMs. They think about this from a developmental and economic lens. Yeah. And so I think we're starting to see the global talent pool, or the global ecosystem, let's use that word again, Hans, understand that players are here. Great example is the Sacramento Republic. Anyone in here from California? A few folk? Well, a lot of people. Thank you guys for sticking around. Sacramento Republic, great 12-year-old player, multiple offers from leagues domestically and abroad for this kid. Big names, right? The names you see on Saturday morning on Peacock, and he chooses to sign his contract with Sacramento and stay at home. That's also best for that kid. That's the best thing for his family at 12, 13 years old. So not only is there an economic reason to do it, but I think this just goes back into how do you build passion for the sport? Well, you do it with homegrown people that you can root for. We all love to root for the hometown hero, right? So we want to provide more of those opportunities for people to stay at home, develop. Ultimately, they will move on. If they're good enough, they'll move on wherever, domestically or abroad, that's fine. That's part of being the global game, but we're excited to deliver those opportunities.
For some people, they'll remember it wasn't that long ago that we didn't have a Division I men's or women's professional league. Now we've got thriving Division I, Division II, Division III, 2 Division Is. I mean, it's just incredible to see the rise. And now the number of environments that players can now be a part of is incredible. There's also more opportunity on the business side as well. You can actually make a career out of this sport, as this room rightfully knows. There was a panel about 2 accomplished referees. You can have a career to be a referee. But can you guys talk a little bit about your business and what are the commercial and business priorities that are keeping you guys up at night?
Yeah, for sure. So I have to tell a quick story. My first job out of college was selling tickets for the Kansas City Wizards. And I have to say Kansas City because if I say Wizards, people, oh, you lived in Washington, D.C. But the first sales call I ever made, you guys will appreciate
Digital
this.
Takawara.
Yes, anyone in sales will appreciate this. In 2002, I called and I said, my name's Court. I'm here to get you and your company out to a Wizards game. And the guy on the other end of the phone said, I'm not interested in hockey. And I thought very quick, I said, that's great because we're a soccer team. And he goes, I'm not interested in soccer either. And he hung up the phone. And I kind of slumped down in my chair and I thought, you know what? This is going to be a lot harder than I thought, right? But no, we've got opportunities, Dave, right? So many people have laid the groundwork. What keeps us up at night is thinking about transitioning our league from a league where we're trying to make sure that we're sustainable to one that is thriving and truly thriving. And having partnerships in this room, with state associations, with clubs. I see Hans nodding. We had a great partnership when I was at Nashville SC in the state association. Making sure we're connecting those dots that I think Cindy, JT, Dave, and so many people at the Federation are doing well now. Connecting those dots are our biggest opportunity. It's actually right here, the relationships in this room and beyond, that we've got to make sure we're being very intentional to take the time and think about helping each other out.
I think good for the group to know the USL is actively involved and invested in a significant number of stadium and infrastructure projects across this country. And just speaking of the Super League alone, we've already built a stadium in Spokane, Washington, right down on the river and in downtown Spokane. We're renovating stadiums in Tampa Bay and in Fort Lauderdale. We're building brand new stadium in Lexington, Kentucky. I mean, the amount of investment that's happening is significant, but that's critical to our long-term revenue potential as a league and as an industry, really. So making sure that we do that the right way. I mean, things like making sure the cameras are facing the right way, right? Or making sure that
Details.
that the infrastructure is set up for success over the long haul is something that we at the USL take very, very seriously to ensure that the USL, that we're building for all of us to have women's professional soccer now and for the rest of our lives and our children's lives to come.
So it's not every day you launch a Division I league, right?
I hope not, because
I think that might be the understatement of the
She
day.
was worried about gray hair, but she survived it brilliantly the last 2 years.
So over the last 2 years, like what surprised you the most? That was just like the biggest head scratcher, and then what's probably the most, outside of actually pulling it off, which you guys are going to crush it, but
Thanks, Dave.
what gets you the most excited?
Yeah, I think what surprised me the most, I thought, my experience has been across the game in so many levels, and most recently being at FIFPro, the Global Players Union, I thought when I came into this, the conversations that I had with owners, I was delighted and surprised by the investment that they want to make in players. They take our safeguarding program very, very seriously, which we're quite proud actually that we've navigated that space from youth to pro and understand the needs of our players and how to ensure that they have a safe environment, but also that they're taking care of their players from their salaries to their housing to the details that are important to professional athletes. They're really thinking about those things. So I was delightfully surprised that I didn't have to dig in deep, because they were listening and they wanted to hear the players and understand what the players' needs were in that process. And what gets me excited is the idea of the opening game in August. And the fanfare and the smiles on the faces that I'll be surrounded by, but also seeing that again and again and again as the years go on with the USL Super League.
True, false? They're on an international calendar or not? Does anyone know? You can't play. Just breathe.
It's true. So we'll play our season. So we've decided to align with the international calendar. There's a lot of reasons for that, but the basics of that is that we'll play from August 2024 for our first season through the fall. We'll take a winter break, and then we'll play in the spring season. We'll end of May, June. So that allows us to align with the international marketplace, the international calendar. It creates a new opportunity for friendly games with international competition, but it aligns the calendar for our players who may also want to be or are already playing overseas to come back and participate in that international transfer market, which is a big deal. Which is a big deal for us in the way we're thinking about being a global leader in women's soccer.
All right, so let's finish strong. We often talk about this moment in time that we all are a part of, with Copa America and the Women's Gold Cup and this small event in 26 with the Men's World Cup, hopefully hosting a Women's World Cup in 27 for the first time since 23, LA 28. There is a series of global high-profile events that are going to shine a very bright spotlight on our sport. From where you sit, what does that mean for our sport, and how are you guys looking to contribute to the growth and the tailwinds that will come out of all these events?
Yeah, look, it's a water cooler conversation every summer, right? That's what we should all be excited for, is that the people out there that we still have to enroll in our sport that we're passionate about, they're going to be talking about these major events. I think what we encourage our clubs to do, both professional and pre-professional, is to make sure they are the center of the soccer conversation in their market, right? And we've got international players, we've got connectivity to the global game. They should be the voice talking about Mexico, US, Nigeria, you name it, both on the men's and women's side, and making sure the local community understands how they fit in the global soccer pyramid. I think if we do that, regardless of what FIFA allows, regardless of what we do in this room, fans will be connected on the flip side of this run in a way that we can't even imagine. And I think that will be tremendous for all of our businesses.
Yeah,
He nailed it. Awesome. Well, I'm delighted to have been able to spend some time with both of you. The impact that each of you are having on the game is off the charts. Congratulations to USL,
Thanks, Dave.
the new Super League.
Thanks, Dave.
Super stoked for that. How about a high five and round of applause for Amanda and Court?
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks.